Greetings. Welcome to We Do It for the Culture Radio. You have myself, one of your great hosts, my boy. I'm loving. We got my boy Made the Minutes, and we have a special guest tonight. We have Dr. Janelle Simmons that's going to be sitting with us tonight. So we have a very explosive show tonight, talking about sex abuse. But before we go on tonight, we're going to go into a quick introduction. So may everybody get yourself together. Tell your mother, tell a friend, and come back and join us in for the show. We got an explosive show. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking about sex abuse. So get ready. And while you're doing that, we're going to be getting our stuff ready for the show. Thank you very much. Welcome to the We Do It for the Culture radio show where our stories matter. And again, we have a very explosive show for you guys tonight. You have myself, Lover. We got Main the Menace, and we have a very special guest. Her name is Dr. Janelle Simmons. Just let me tell you briefly about Dr. Janelle Simmons. Now, she's also known as the Curvy Doc and is a published plus size model, and author and the pageant queen. She was born in Brooklyn, New York, and she has some Trinidadian roots. She is the youngest of seven children, is now living in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. She has a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's of Social Work from Stony Brook University and a doctorate in higher education and adult learning from Walden University. And she's going to be able to add to this great show that we have tonight on sexual abuse. We had another guest that was supposed to be coming in, but he never pretty much got it onto the show. So we're going to start anyway. We're going to be talking about sexual abuse in the Black community, which you know, like a lot of other subjects in the Black community, it's like taboo. No one wants to talk about it. We try to hide it under the rug. But sexual abuse in the Black community is a topic that desperately needs to be, some attention needs to be brought to it. Yet, not enough people talk about it. And what we want to, here's the crazy thing: sexual abuse in the Black community, the secrecy around it is a universal problem that we all, and I think we've all dealt with it in one way, shape, or another. And I want to focus on the trend of silence that I've noticed around the issue in the Black community. Have any of you guys directly or indirectly had any connection with sex abuse in your community or in your families at all?
Well, I know I used to work at a university, and I worked at universities for over 15 years. And with the students that I've worked with, they had situations where they had been sexually abused growing up, and it was very taboo in their family because it would be by a family member.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to get out of that environment by moving moving out of the home and enrolling in college. So living on campus for a number of them was their safe haven.
Well, it says that 1 in 5 women have been raped in their lifetime.
Wow.
I know a few women who have had this experience, and it's really altered their life in more ways than one. Um, I have a cousin that went through it. I even experienced it years ago, back in the early 2000s, with an ex girlfriend of mine. It made it hard for our relationship because of what she had went through early on in her life. I remember her, talking to me about wanting to be married, but she had a hard time saying I love you. So I said, if you have a hard time saying I love you, how can you say I do? You know what I mean? So have
Right.
you guys ever seen that like alter some of their lifestyle? People that you know with that's been through sex abuse at all?
Mm.
Me myself, I don't know anyone that has experienced it. Um, I can say that because of that wall of silence that goes up, you don't want to be judged and things like that, and it's a lot that comes with it. It's a whole lot to unpack, and for you, and I mean, we're at 47 years of age, so you're talking probably 30 years ago. Did we run across somebody 20, 25 years ago? Nobody was saying anything like that back in that time because they probably think they would be immediately judged, right? Immediately judged. So I think that's one of the reasons why they keep that closed in. So I can say that I've never heard anyone say it, but I'm pretty sure with the statistics that have been going on for the last 100 years or whatever that I know somebody, but they just haven't came out and let it be known.
And also, one of the things with sexual abuse, statistics show that majority of those who have been abused is by someone they know. And we're so used to saying and thinking it's someone that's coming out of a bush, it's a stranger, but it's usually someone they know, whether it be a family member, a friend, someone from a date. So it happens more often than we know, because many cases, of course, because it's mostly due to someone that they know, they are not reported.
Right,
Study
right.
study says that most rapes were involved someone that they knew, a family member, an intimate partner, an acquaintance. Perpetrators use physical force or substances to gain compliance. But it says one trend that emerged is that the majority of black women I encountered had been sexually abused as children and did not address the abuse until they were in adulthood. So if you
Right.
holding on to that into adulthood,
A lot of damage.
a lot of damage, a lot of
Yeah.
damage. Because you holding on to it. You can't. How can you really move on as an adult
Yeah.
holding on to something like that? I know as myself, as a paraplegic, I dealt with mental illness when I was younger in my early years of being paralyzed,
Mhm.
and I hid it. I hid it because I was embarrassed by it. And it wasn't until I got into my 40s where I was able to be transparent, where I could share with people what I was going through. And it took a load off of me. It made me feel so much better. But this is a whole nother beast right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, mental illness. I'm not gonna downplay it, but it has nothing on sexual abuse for a woman. It's it's just hard, so hard to explain what they have must go through because it says 60% of black girls experience sexual assault. Now, by the time they reach 18, for every black woman that reports sexual assault, there are at least 15 black women who do not report their experiences of abuse.
Mm. Damn, that's crazy.
Growing up in the hood, I know some of y'all can relate to that. A lot of the girls that were sexually assaulted when they were younger, we found them to be a little bit more promiscuous.
Promiscuous, yep. That's true.
And I think promiscuous is something that comes as part of the territory with young girls who are abused early. They start to become a little bit fast and I hate to use the word, but easy. Because of they pretty much have they're in a situation where they've experienced it early on in life. So by the time we get to them as teenagers, they ready.
Yeah, they're well experienced, right?
More experienced than we are.
Well, some of that also because of the assault, they have a low self-esteem. So because
Right.
of that low self-esteem, it's this happened to me, and I guess I deserved it. They come into their mindset thinking, well, this is something I deserved. And for many women, it's not just one time it's happened a series of times. So that low self-esteem starts off from the abuse and then continues into adulthood, where it may lead to promiscuity and unsafe behaviors,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a lot of behaviors. There's a million signs behind it that we miss because we wouldn't know. Is if we don't know what's happening to the child. One of the things I found that was crazy was like when a child comes and tells the mother, say the mother got a boyfriend or even the father, because the fathers do it to their daughters as well. Um, the child will come and tell the mother, and the mother will just like get in defense mode. And it's like to the point where get the hell out of here. That could never happen because she knows if she faces the truth, that man may leave the home and she's going to be alone. Right. So it's like, do I, fend for the child or do I, protect the husband or the boyfriend because I'm afraid to be alone? And that happens a lot in, in all communities. If that's good to say, like in all communities that happens because there's a lot of things that goes into play when it
Well,
comes to that
most
type
of
of
the
abuse.
girls, most of the girls, the experience is that it's someone that they trust.
Mhm.
Right.
They're going through this as a child, so the betrayal and the distrust when they grow up. That's what I was saying before. It makes them hard. It makes it harder to be in a relationship with
Right.
someone because they don't trust no one. I mean, it's like pulling your teeth trying to get them to let their guard down and to trust you because of what they've gone through as a child.
Right. They've been tricked.
Yeah, and it was like I said, in most cases, like you were saying, it's mostly by someone that they knew
Yeah.
and that they trusted.
And they may still have a relationship with that person. The person may still be around that they see on a regular basis, especially if it's a family member, which makes it even harder.
Right.
But it also it makes it feel like they can't just imagine feeling like you can't tell anyone that you've been through this situation. You've been raped, you've been sexually abused, and a lot of times it's repeated. And you feel like you have no one that you can turn to, no one that you can talk to about it because you feel like no one's gonna listen or they're not gonna believe you. That's gotta be a hell of a feeling to go through as a young child or as a young woman. I'm not gonna say only women go through it because guys go through it as well. But I think it's worse for women though. You
I
know.
think so. Yeah, it's worse for women as far as the act, but like a dude coming up saying that, it's kind of rough too. I don't know. I'm just putting myself in a man's shoes because I can never tell you how women should feel. But if that was to ever happen to me, I don't even know how I would. Because you know how it was back when we were kids. It was like super testosterone, masculinity that was it. If you wasn't masculine, you was getting ran over wherever you went. I lived all over the country.
Just,
Wherever you went,
just
you couldn't hold
imagine
it down.
that you were sexually abused. It just messed up your whole image, and you know what I mean.
Everything.
That you've been trying to protect forever is gone now because now you're looking like a sucker because
Yeah, because it's more ridicule on the
abused.
masculinity. Women you would feel bad for because she can't protect herself against a predator, a male predator. Right.
Yeah.
But if it's a man, how you gonna say the woman, did that to you?
I
But
think for
it happens.
different reasons. It's really hard to compare the two in terms of saying one might be harder than the other. I think they're both hard, but for different reasons. So I think it
Mhm.
is equal to an extent for men because of what was mentioned in regards to the testosterone.
Yeah. That
And
masculine machismo.
exactly. So, and so they have it, differently, but I think the pain and the hurt is gonna be the same, but it's,
Yeah.
definitely, for different reasons. And I really do sympathize with those who have been sexually abused, and for men who really they really have a hard time, I know, sharing that because of what was mentioned. And then how, because as
Mhm.
soon as you think about it, you're also thinking, oh, well, they didn't get raped by a woman. They weren't sexually abused by a woman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're sexually abused by another male, which then brings in a whole nother topic of homosexuality and
Yeah,
homophobia.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well,
It goes deep.
here's the thing: if there's any woman listening to us today, I do have a question for any woman that's listening on the show right now. My question would be: how long should a woman wait to introduce their child to a significant other? I mean, how
Hmm.
long should you be involved in this relationship before you
Man,
start saying, okay, I'm going to bring this man into my household and I'm going to trust him around my child now? And Dr. Simmons, you on the front line for this. I mean, how often do you see this? What do you do in a situation like this? I mean, do you have a child, Dr. Simmons?
I don't. I don't
Okay.
have children, but
Okay.
my parents were divorced. So there was a time when parents were divorced and I was, a teenager, about 14. And of course my mom was entered a different, a relationship. And I just think that you really need to give it some time, for someone to, and for men too, who are in charge, who have custody of the children and bringing another woman in or vice versa. I think it's very important that you give them some time for a number of reasons. One, trust, because sometimes those that are abusing the young children could be the significant other of the parent. Two, depending on what caused the child's parents to break up or divorce, there could be feelings of resentment, and you don't want that resentment to go towards that individual that the person is trying to introduce into the household. So there's a lot of different factors you really have to keep in mind. Now, how long? It's really going to be, it's subjective. Everyone will have different time frames, but
mhm.
enough where there is an understanding and there's a trust there. That could be a matter of weeks, could be a matter of months. But if you see that this is a person that you can anticipate having a future with, definitely, start to slowly ease that person in.
And we're talking about on a boyfriend case here. Just imagine the kids that are being abused by their biological
Yeah, that's
Father.
real rough. Yeah, that's crazy
Mhm.
rough.
You know what I'm saying? That's even worse right there.
Yeah,
It says
it
here
is.
that childhood sexual abuse has been correlated with higher levels of depression, guilt, shame, self-blame, eating disorders, somatic concerns, anxiety, repression, denial, sexual problems, and relationship problems. And that's what I was talking about earlier, how it affects people in their relationships when they get older because, you know, the trust factor, you got to build that up from the ground up. Um, and other things, what it comes down to is we really have to start holding our family members accountable.
Immediately.
You know, what were you saying, Jermaine, on one of our shows, Uncle Ruckus, you say?
That's that nasty uncle.
That nasty
You know, he's
uncle.
always hanging around. He got a bullshit job. You know, can't get no women. He don't got the looks. He's all screwed up. So yeah, he's around.
And the crazy part is, like we were saying, going back to the boys that get sexually abused. Let's just tap onto that for a quick minute. Let me go into some real quick statistics on the boys that are being abused. It says that the boys are talked about even less when it comes um, to sexual abuse. Approximately 22% to 29% of all sexual abuse victims are males. That's that's a pretty high number.
How many you just say?
22 to 29% of all sexual abuse victims are males. Now we gotta talk about them aunts too. We're gonna talk about them nasty uncles,
Nasty.
nasty aunts too. You know what I mean? But I lost my I lost my virginity at 12 years old, right? And,
Who
I'm
was that? The babysitter? God damn.
listen. I lost it was a friend of my sister's, right? I'm not going to raise. It was a friend of my sister at 12 years old, right? But as a male, unlike the females, we see that as like, yo, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you feel like you got some hairs on your chest now. You bragging about it. Females are not bragging about this. The males, we're like, you ever hold on, do you see these shows? Do you ever see these news reports about these kids calling abuse on their teachers? I'm talking about boys calling
Mhm.
abuse on their teachers. The teachers are abusing the kids. They giving them head. They having sex with the kids.
Yeah. In high school.
Yo,
You
that's
17. I don't know. That's not rape to
when
me.
you look at, as a man,
That's
you look at
not
that
abuse.
as suckerish. If you're reporting abuse on a teacher, we look like, oh, you's a sucker.
Yeah. And she like 22,
Yeah, because
21.
yo, man, I wish my teacher was trying to give me something back in the days. You got a teacher that's giving it to you. She's pretty, and you
Yeah,
talking
but we
about,
had teachers that look like the Golden Girls.
yeah, you lose some stripes for that. You lose stripes for that. Talking about, oh, the teacher abused me. You can't go in the hood with that. Come on, Dr. Simmons. Come on now.
Of course not. You can't go in the hood with that because of the way society sees that. They think, "Oh yeah, that's great," but that that person, they're still a child. Their brain has not fully developed yet, even at 17 years old. And we have to remember that they are still a child in the eyes of the law.
Man, how old when you lost your virginity, man, the minutes? How old were you?
I was a little bit
Oh,
older. I wasn't that advanced. I was only
I was
16,
definitely
but
older than that. That's for
when I
sure.
wasn't 12, I can't hold a torch to that one. A candle in the wind is what I have. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was like 12 years old. The girl was the same age too. You know what I mean? So it wasn't no older woman thing. I wish it was.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. We want the older woman to basically. I ain't gonna say
But
we
like,
want them.
listen, but
But
you talking? I mean,
young
we
age, our hormones are
yeah,
probably
I was gonna say that raging hormones. Yeah,
our hormones are raising at a way earlier age
like 15,
than
13, 14.
females.
Yeah,
So if you're an older girl, oh, we looking at the older girls. Yeah, we want them to give us a little play, but they don't give
yeah.
us no play until we get a little older. But for the female, come on, that's just unheard of. It says that Let me see here. I got another a statistic here. Check this out. It says that the reluctance for boys to report sexual abuse, coupled with the fact that males are rarely asked about child sex abuse by mental health providers, may explain why boys are underrepresented. Now, did you hear that part, Dr. Simmons?
I did.
It said that males are rarely asked about child abuse by mental health providers. So doesn't that some of that fall on the mental health providers, some of the doctors, Dr. Simmons?
There is, but also, there's only so much that the provider can do. And, they will use every tool and all of their tips and skills to get that information. But it's still up to that individual, be up to, him to divulge that. And he may not feel comfortable divulging that. It may take some time, but it goes both ways. So we just can't totally have the health provider be responsible for getting that information. Yes, but of course the individual have to be comfortable enough to share it as well.
Mhm.
What would be some of the signs that you look for in a situation like that? That's the part that I've never really known. Because you don't know what to look for. What are the signs to know, other than for us to know a woman being promiscuous? What are the signs that that a woman has been abused, or sexually abused by someone that they know or don't know, for that matter?
Well, promiscuity is not something that's common for everyone. So we just need to make sure that we're very careful on what we say. That could be a result, but not always necessarily a result. There are people who you would never know, might not have been promiscuous. They may not even want to even have anyone touch them as a result of that sexual abuse. So it also can work the other way too. They may not want to have sex. So there's not any way to just say, oh, that person has been victimized, or that person has been victimized. You really you don't know. There is no face of sexual abuse.
Why is there why does it feel like there's almost like a twist when young girls are abused, sexually abused, when they're younger, they become like we say, promiscuous. But it seems like when young boys are assaulted or sexually abused when they're younger, they wind up becoming bisexual or gay. Is that not? Is it okay to say that? No.
There's a double standard in general, I think, when it comes to, and I think we even had that conversation just not a few minutes ago, where the men who've been assaulted, they're 13, 14, with like the teacher, the older woman, they're getting daps and stripes for doing that. Whereas if it's the other way around, it's woman, oh, she's promiscuous, she's a hoe, she's a slut, she has problems. So there's definitely, I would say, there's a double standard in that area. Not all men that have been abused become bisexual or homosexual. So we also need to keep that in mind as well. That's not always the case. You may see that, but it's not something that's automatic, and that's indicative of all men that's been through that.
I'm not going to say it's always the case, but there is a large percentage of guys that become traumatized, and it leads to a life of being bisexual or gay. When you hear most guys who talk about being sexual abuse whether it's in their books or whether they're on interviews, and that's the first thing they say. Oh, I was sexually abused.
Sexually abused by a woman or by another man?
That's a good point. I say this in general, it leads to them being bisexual or gay.
I'd say if the men force themselves on young boys, that has more of a trigger towards that type of lifestyle. I actually seen it with Penn State and what's this, Jerry Sandusky. They showed some of the boys, man. Those boys was like straight up turned out a whole nother side. They weren't even into girls at all. So I would like just by seeing that, I would think, because that was triggers your mind as well too. It's like, how would you even know that this guy is this way because he was molested or sexually abused by a man? Like, you know what I mean? So I would say just by doing that there's a very high percentage.
What about the gymnastics guy? From what was he from the Olympics or something like that? That was raping all the young little gymnastics and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
gymnastics too. I've seen tennis, but gymnastics as well.
no,
Yeah, oh yeah, it was a huge gymnastics. Yep,
Mhm.
absolutely. With the U.S. Olympic team, as a matter of fact, and
Wow,
they
the
just.
U.S. Olympic team.
Hmm.
a lot of those girls came out. I mean, a lot of them came out as while they were adults, but they came out, and there was staggering amount of women that he was sexually
Damn,
abusing all those years.
Yes.
all those years. It's the U.S. Olympic team. Nobody's safe. God
Penn
damn.
State
Yeah.
went through the same thing, right? What was the Penn State? What was the coach name over at Penn State?
Oh, I forgot. But
Jerry Sam. Oh, the coach was Joe Paterno,
Joe Paterno.
no, yes.
but it was the other guy doing all. But Paterno allegedly knew,
Yeah, apparently
but
he
then
knew that
Basically,
what was going on, or he didn't report it. Something along those
right.
lines.
Yo, when the shit hit the fan with him, he ended up dying. That shit was crazy. They pulled the statue down. He might as well have been Jerry Sandusky, man. He got it worse than Sandusky did.
yeah, again, it was a case of somebody turning a blind eye to it,
Yep.
not reporting it, acting like they don't see it. And like I said, man, this is, it traumatizes the people as they get older, man. I mean, look at the guys. What's the name of that big church in Georgia that where those guys
New birth.
preacher? New Birth. Yeah, the guys started coming out talking about, what the pastor was doing to them and how it affected them as they got older. It's almost like in the black community, it's damn near an epidemic what's going on with these kids, and it needs to be addressed. So we need to start holding people accountable. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, and we're going to also get into a little bit about the Me Too movement that's been going on, that's been affecting us. But we're going to take a little break, whatever, and just a little music and have a word from our sponsor. We'll be back. Thank you. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to We Do It for the Culture Radio, where our stories matter. We have the wonderful Dr. Janelle Simmons here with us today, and we're talking about sexual abuse in the Black community. If you haven't had a chance to pay attention to what's going on, we've been talking about some of the effect that it's had on our children, whether it be the little girls or the boys. I don't know if any of you guys heard about this recently, but they was talking about Nicki Minaj's brother who was basically repeatedly raping his 11-year-old stepdaughter. Did any of you guys hear anything about that at all?
Yeah.
I did.
Apparently, that was a big story. Somebody was coming at Nicki Minaj. They had an altercation with Nicki Minaj, and they brought that up, and I was like, whoa! But they said she knew about it, like a lot of other family members, and didn't say anything about her brother repeatedly sexually abusing this child. But I want to go into another subject here. The Me Too movement. The Me Too movement has been gaining a lot of ground. A lot of people been going to jail.
Going to jail now.
Huh?
Is they going to jail now?
We got celebrities. I mean, I have to ask: is this Me Too thing going too far? Is it going too far?
Too far? I wouldn't say it's going too far. I would just say they need to like spread the love and stop just attacking like African Americans all day long and having African American women on television like roasting them basically through interviews and making them look crazy. Just do that to everybody. You gonna do it like that? Do it to everybody. Don't just single out. Even though they dead wrong, you're still singling out. It looks bad. That's all. It just looks bad. But do that to everybody. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care how much money you got, how much power you got. You did something foul to the society, the children of the society, the people of the society. So you should be called out and got up out of here.
So I think it hasn't gotten far. I'm just glad that it's now out. And we're seeing it with so many people, those that we saw as a role model growing up. And then we've seen those such as Harvey Weinstein, who's now in jail for it. And he's not even done with his charges. He still has charges that he has to face in LA. So he's pretty much going to die in jail at this point.
Yeah, he's gonna die in jail. Period. He's like 67. Get over 90.
I mean, in that case, I guess they are. I mean, I thought the way you thought, Jermaine, at first. I'm like, okay, listen, if you're gonna do this, be fair. You know, why you singling out the black entertainers and not going after these white entertainers? Like I could tell you right now, like Kevin Spacey. I think
Word.
the situation
I'm
got
like that too.
dropped. I don't even think they even talking about his no more.
Nah, I hear nothing.
Jeffrey Epstein, where's he at? Somewhere in Bahamas, somewhere chilling on the island. They're talking about, okay, the man hung himself in jail. Come on, I mean, between him and his whole crew that he's affiliated with,
Too much power.
too much power. Was sexually abusing girls for years and years.
And everybody was dead.
Everybody.
They said that the what do you call it? The locals of the area called that pedophile island. The people that lived around that area, islands around it, or whatever the case, they call that pedophile island.
Now, I think he's dead. Now, did he hang himself or was he killed? I don't know. But either way, information was going to come out, and he either prevented himself from having saving himself saving the other folks, I should say, so that it doesn't come out, or someone killed him, to prevent that information from getting out. I really don't know one way or the other.
I know this is a whole other story, but you think he's dead, Dr. Simmons?
I think he's dead. I do. I think he's dead.
I ain't seen no funeral. I ain't seen no death certificate. I ain't seen.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't have a funeral for him. He could have been on the news.
Nothing, man, that indicates this man
That's true.
is dead, yo. Nothing.
They would make you go, Yeah, there was no funeral on Jeffrey Epstein.
No, nothing. You can't. You can go on Google right now. I bet you can't find a death certificate on Jeffrey Epstein. But I bet you can find one from my aunts and my uncles. I can find all their death certificates. But if I put Jeffrey Epstein, I can't find a death certificate for this man. That man ain't dead. I ain't going for it. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. That's what I'm not gonna do. But in any event, until we can acknowledge that sexual abuse, it's not just a little bit of sex, but a life-altering epidemic in our black and brown households, and it will continue to happen, and we will continue to fail our children unless we do something drastic about it. And honestly, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what we can do to help the situation, to help these little girls and boys, because it's not like it happens right under our noses, unless you are in a situation where your child is telling you what's going on and you're just totally ignoring it. But in most cases, you don't find out about it until the child is an adult, and then what do you do then? The person is probably passed on, or you know what I mean? You don't know where they are. I mean, it's not like murder where there's no statute of limitations. You know what I'm saying? But you would think so with Me Too movement, though.
Yeah, I think what our problem is I think we're more reactive than proactive, and I think we need to become more proactive. We owe it to our future to protect them. So I think we need to be more proactive and letting them know, okay, what signs, is someone touching you the wrong way? Sometimes too, growing up, we have family members that come over and they want to hug you and just give you kisses all over. And if you don't feel comfortable with that family member doing that, for whatever reason, it should be okay.
It's a touchy situation, but it's two sides to every coin. You know how Tupac says? Tupac says, there's a lot of real G's doing time because the groupie bit the truth and told a lie. You know what I mean? So sometimes, like I said, you don't know what to believe. Sometimes some of these young girls could just be, a lot of them are crying out for attention, and a lot of them are willing to do anything to get attention. Yeah. Even if it means throwing somebody under the bus. You know what I mean?
Or even not even to get attention, just to get the attention off of them. Like, oh, he raped me, but you really let him come into your house or whatever, and you got caught. That happens.
Well, the thing about it too is we have to be careful, because then that becomes victim blaming, and I think we're always quick to do that. Oh, well, she wore this, so she, So that's why that happened. She let him in. So, but we, there's always three sides: his side, her side, and the truth, or his side, his side, and the truth, or her side, and the truth. So we have to be very careful that we don't want to victim blame, because even you'll see those who are provocative online in their, their thongs and their G-strings, people, and then if something is to happen to them, if there's a Me Too movement regarding one of them, just giving an example. It's not because, oh, well, she parades around in her bra and her G-string on Instagram. Doesn't matter.
Is that a part
Yeah,
of
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but I wasn't meaning to, victim blame. I was just saying I actually know a couple of females that have done that, So I was just saying that exists as well. So it's hard to, and then someone is trying to come out and let you know, and something has happened like that in the neighborhood where they, like, my example. It may be the same person, it may not be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so intricate, it gets deep and intertwined. There's no way you can ever stop it because it's just connection between human beings, and people are sneaky, and that's why they call them predators, right? But I've seen like an incident like that where the girl just straight up lied, and the dude went to jail, but it was consensual.
On more than one occasion, I've seen it. I mean, look at the Michael Jackson situation. I mean, Michael Jackson is in his grave and buried, and now, what was it, like 2 years ago? The kid's father came out. He left a suicide note. He killed himself. He did a radio interview saying that he made his kid lie about Michael Jackson's situation. He killed himself after the radio interview, but Michael Jackson's dead and gone now. I mean, his name is already out there and been affiliated with a predator of kids, whatever. You ruined this man's life. You ruined his image, and now that you decide after the man is dead and gone, you want to tell the world that you lied and you made your kids that Michael Jackson touched you. That's oh man, that's crazy, yo.
His guilty conscience ate him alive until he killed himself. Which, if that's 100%, then hey, so be it.
Should there be a statute of limitations on rape?
I don't think so. I don't think so. However, if that person is caught lying and it never happened, then they need to be charged for lying if it never did happen.
Right.
I thought there was a statute of limitations on everything except for murder.
No, some states different.
States are different.
Every law is different per state.
Because when you look at all these people, I mean, how many years back did they go on Bill Cosby?
They went back to Andrea Constant, who was like 2005. But
man, they really back.
No, I'm saying they went further back, but the thing that he went to jail for was for that curly head like chick, like the curly head lady. I think she was a physical trainer or something, but she wasn't even into men. First of all, they never had sex where they had real sex, like intercourse. So it was like it's so twisted and turns. Like they just wanted to get Bill out of there, man. I'm telling you, it was not even a rape case. I listened to the transcripts, and this lady named her show is called Nicole's View on YouTube. You can check out. She be on top of everything, like really deep research. Like she was in the courthouse, writing down whatever's going on. Had copies of the transcript, all types of stuff. She's like, that thing was a dog and pony show. Women are crying and acting like they got, and the ladies that's crying. Actually, there was a couple people there that were witnesses. But one lady came in crying and acting like she just got raped yesterday. And she was like prostitution, drugs, all that in her life. Her whole life was like tore up. And she didn't have her as a witness. You know what I'm saying? I saw a lot of stuff and I was like, yeah, they just sabotaging Bill. He might have did something, but it was in the Playboy Mansion. I'm not playing
But he also drugged women with Quaaludes. We're neglecting that part, that he was drugging women with Quaaludes.
No, I'm not. And even in the transcript, she brought the Quaaludes to the crib. That's why I'm like, I don't know. It was back in the 70s. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying. 70s. We're in 2020, 2009. Come on, man. They going way back on my boy Bill. Now, R. Kelly is a whole situation. R. Kelly's another whole situation.
That's a whole nother show.
That's crazy.
That's another whole show.
I don't believe the charges against Harvey. I'm just being honest. I don't believe the whatever's going on with Harvey Weinstein. I don't think I don't think it's gonna stick. I think he's gonna get an appeal. He's gonna wind up getting off. The man's got too much money. He's got too much power. And as far as his homegirls, Oprah and Gail, totally quiet about the whole situation. They would have so much to say about R. Kelly, but nothing to say about their homeboy Harvey Weinstein. You
It
know,
was a hard question show, Gail. Come on, you can do it. Catch Harvey Weinstein in the Greens in Rikers Island. That's a great interview. It's never gonna happen.
I
Hey,
don't know.
He
anything
can
is
get that
possible,
interview happen
but
quick.
I don't think he's gonna survive jail right now. I just don't think he
Nah,
is.
he is not.
He's not gonna survive jail. He still has the charges in California. So even if he was to get off
Okay.
on New York, he still has California and can go right back in jail. So he's not gonna make it.
I tell you what they can't do. They can't pull another Jeffrey Epstein because they've already pulled that card already.
Yeah, right. They can pull that card as many times as they want. They got control of that area.
Jeffrey Epstein's on an island somewhere chilling. I'm telling you. Okay, check this out. I'm not going to keep you guys too long. I definitely want to thank Dr. Simmons for coming up. But I just want to say this before we leave. If you know someone who has been sexually assaulted, call the National Sexual Assault Telephone Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. That's 1-800-656-4673, HOPE. Or you can visit rain.com, RAINN.com, and report sexual abuse. We have to hold these people accountable, whether they're family members or not. We have to do more to protect our children against sexual abuse. That's the girls and the boys. I just want to ask Dr. Simmons, does she have anything she want to say before we close it all?
Well, I am so honored to have been here to chat with you two. This was actually a really great dialogue, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do this again soon. You can find me on Instagram at Janelle the Curvy Doc or JanelleSimmons.com. That is my website. Or you could also find me on Facebook.
Awesome. We greatly appreciate you coming on and joining us today. One of our co-hosts, Tina, she couldn't make it today. She has something that come up. Man, the minutes, you got anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
I just want to say, be aware of physical and behavior signs with your children. And, body language speaks volumes without having a voice. It's just the action of the person. I'm big on body language. I can tell how the person's mood is, how to approach them, how to talk to them. That works out well. But there's a lot that goes on with sexual abuse in the African American community, in the hood, or wherever you want to call it, the place where Black people live at, and things happen just like they do anywhere else. But we got to bring it, put the fire to the feet of it all and burn it from the bottom up, and do the best we can do to raise those children. So be aware of physical and behavioral signs, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers. Everybody pay attention to those children. We need them for the future.
Yes.
Yes. And we want to thank you for watching and listening to We Do It for the Culture Radio. You can always catch us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Apple Music. You can catch us on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. We Do It for the Culture Radio. We thank you for listening. You guys enjoy the rest of the evening. Dr. Janelle, you've been awesome.
Thank you.
Good. Love you guys. 5 minus 4.
1.
Good night.
1. All right.